Jayne Royal. I'm from the Toomba Library, Toomba Regional Council Library, and I'm the Special Collections Librarian here. Today I've been asked to speak about two things. One was about the flood that occurred in 2011 and some of the implications it had with our collection, and maybe some tips and advice that I can perhaps offer. And the second thing is our decontamination project, for various reasons why we've had this enormous undertaking. So what I thought I might just run through with you is to give you an outline, a timeline of some of the things that happened. The local history library started, originally it was together in the main library, but it broke. It relocated in 1999 in a separate location. It originally started with one filing cabinet, but it has increased significantly over that time. As you're probably aware, we had a drought from 1999 to August, around about August 2010. So the water levels were critical. So around the time I started, we had never had any rain. And then September 2010 came, and we had the building also was a rental building, so it wasn't a council building. So we had a few issues with liaising with the landlord, that kind of thing as well. So in September 2010, we had numerous leaks, leaking roofs and things like that. One thing we did do in 2015 was an indoor air quality assessment. It was to do with one of the collections. I was suspicious, and it was actually from council, that may have had some mould. So from that, we decided to have a professional company do an air quality assessment. The result of that was actually not too bad. It was normal to low mould, and they did identify not many collections. The one that I was suspicious of as having mould did have mould, and there was just a couple of items in our general collection that did have mould. We had something that was completely out of our control, was that the 2nd of May 2015 was the last day that we were open to the public, and then we had to close down because they had sold the building. So we had 3 weeks to pack up, which is why we had to, in the end, just freeze as much of the collection as we could, and we had to do it in a very quick time frame. And then last year we moved to a brand new library, so a purpose-built library. So I'll show you around at the end. Okay, so now with the flood, we had an emergency kit, and we used just about everything in that list. Maybe not for the purposes they were designed for, but we were using them for other things. One thing I will say is that it's really important to get really good high quality material. That might be pretty obvious, but to make sure that whatever you buy is not cheap, like with chucks, get the really good quality ones. Also, buckets were really useful, and in the end we had to use, I was using waste paper bins on January 10, 2011. I was actually emptying the bins because the roof was just leaking all in many places. So you just get what you can grab. Also make sure that everything is, batteries and torches and things like that are all working. Mobile phones, important to have all your contacts up to date. One thing I also found handy was if you are in a shared building environment, which we were, to have contacts with people as well that are in your area, in your business or close by. So the only things I didn't actually use were probably the hose, which is supposed to be, for hosing down things. So it didn't get that bad that we needed to hose down entire areas. The collection salvage priority was really good. We had a system where we had the top 30 items that needed to be salvaged, and we had bright stickers. I think I have a picture. I'll hope that I can show you that picture. Okay, it's not popping up. Yeah, we had bright yellow stickers on some of the books that we could wrap up and use. So in one instance, I had the roof was leaking, and it was actually pouring down into one section of a collection, but we had it tarped, but it was splashing up. So I could grab the salvage priority that was on that shelf. And we have bright stickers with that. One thing that I would recommend is in the front of a compactus that you have the stickers there too, so that people or staff who are maybe working in the environment do know where those salvage collection priority items are located. So that was one thing that we learned from that. One thing I'll also say, some of the items that were really good, that were lucky to survive, that had minimum damage, is your old books, the leather bound ones. The outer covering of those items, when they were splashed with water, you just had to wipe them, and the inside paper was fine. But the ones that did suffer the most were items glossy paper, and it all sticks. So that's really popular now as a book production, that people love using glossy paper, but when it gets wet, it all sticks together. Another thing that I'd recommend with that is basic good housekeeping, making sure that there's empty trolleys available and that your work desks and tables are clear or virtually clear, so that you can actually remove items if you need to. We had to, and we had this problem not just in 2011, it was ongoing for several years. So the rain kept on coming and we had leaks, and of course they would move from place to place. We ended up investing in, we had tarps for every compactus, and also we were breaking it down. So you needed to also secure the tarps, maybe with cord or string. Towards the end, we were actually using tape to tape it down to make sure that there were no ripples or folds, so that you wouldn't be creating like a little waterfall. We were sourcing fans and dehumidifiers, so I think we had about 6 dehumidifiers, so to keep the humidity levels under control. And the fans, we were getting those nice pedestal fans. They're very cheap to purchase if you needed to, or we were borrowing them from council as well. So again, we were probably having 4 or 5 in each of the rooms, and we're lucky we had power and keeping the room fairly well circulated. So if the aircon breaks down, you've got air movement circulating. Okay, so I think that's all I was going to mention about the disaster management. That was some of the things that we found. So I'll just give you an idea of our collection and how much volume of material we had. There's on average, we had 16 packing boxes, so they're around about 80 centimetres high, and we had 16 boxes per pallet. So there were 33 pallets that were actually frozen in total. And then, of course, there was the material that was unable to be frozen. So we have our book collection is called the Robinson collection. So there was over 16 pallets of books. Our archival collection was, there was about 9.3 pallets made up of the archival collection. The photo collection as well was 1.9 pallets. And reference and other material, I think some of the other material was things that we hadn't catalogued yet, were in process. So that was 2 pallets. We also have a lot of architects' plans and specs. So that's 3.8 pallets is what I estimated at. And so with the non-freezing items, here we go. We had 4 boxes of glass plate negatives. There were 13 large boxes filled with framed items, photos, seals, all those little miscellaneous things like medals, badges. So the materials that can't be frozen are, wooden or ceramic or glass. We also had 67 small boxes, 12 odd-shaped boxes, 3 boxes of AV, 13 large artworks, and many of them had glass frames, 9 rolled-up banners, so they were more than 1.3 metres, and 9 map cabinets. So we didn't actually freeze our actual maps because they were sealed and secured in map drawers. So the air quality and things were not, it didn't need to be frozen. So there was 96 boxes plus map cabinets and artworks. Now I'll try this again. Just going back to the tarps, so one of our I'll show you a picture of, I hope this works. Okay, this is a picture pretty well at end of 2011, maybe 2012, I think, and when we had a series of leaks that were all over, and someone had said that we had a sea of blue. So it looks like a sea of blue tarps all wrapped up. So I thought I'd just show you that. Okay. Now, and some of our mouldy books. Actually, on that day, all up, we lost only 122 books. So we had well over 5,000, but we were able to salvage a couple of hundred by using fans and airing them and just moving them around regularly. So all our tables were used in that drying process of it, and they were fan dried really. Okay. Because we were you know how you think when you're packing up and with your collections and you might have someone's medal, military medal in one box, you can't have this idea that everything's going to be together. And so when we were packing up, everything had to be broken up, first of all by their materials and then by size and weight. So a lot of the materials were actually all, the collections were all split up. So it was just an added a problem with the joining it all up together at the end, I guess. So yes, I was hoping for, and like your book collection, even though it was packed up, roughly in order, everything has to be sorted when you're freezing material, you've got to put it into weight, and then of course the lighter books, and then you might have to go to another shelf to fill up. So you have this massive job at the end when you finish of reorganizing things. So it's something to actually keep in mind when planning for something like that, or if you're moving a library, that it's all just not going to be back in its original order. Actually, I should mention about the freezer bags when we freeze. I'll come to that. So we were very lucky. We had the assistance of the museum conservation officer for our region. She worked with us for those 3 weeks that we were packing up, and she was advising us. We had workshops for staff who helped, and we had them trained, how to pack the material, and also to identify material that may have been mouldy or suspicious. And she would actually just check to see that anything that was potentially mouldy, we put a red sticker on each box, so we knew that when we're opening it, to be aware that there could be an issue with that. Now, the strong garbage bags, we were recommended, and it was on State Library of Queensland, to actually double bag every box. So we did, and you need the best quality you can. I was quite surprised. While we're doing this, probably there's one box in each pallet, maybe not in every pallet, maybe every 3 pallets. We've had holes in the first layer of freezing boxes, but it never went through to the box. So far we have had no issues whatsoever while we have had the items frozen, even though there might be a hole in one bag. The other one, it was still sealed. So of course, if anything happens, water and condensation and things can actually slip through. So get the best garbage bags as you can afford. So that's really important. The other thing is good quality plastic packing tape. So again, it's best not to use cheap packing tape. You need something, it's the seal at the end, so you just need to make sure everything is all airtight. And so Lydia had gone through that material to show us how to pack it and how to seal it. So there were staff we had who started to do the packing, and others who were doing the sealing. And of course, people get into a really good routine. So I'll just show you a picture. Okay, this is what 2 pallets look like. We were in a different location out at Highfields, and we are still there doing that. So that's 2 pallets of material, and we've got blue and black. There's no real difference. It's just that the black boxes, the black bags are bigger because we couldn't get the blue ones that's as big. So we had to purchase some big black ones instead. So that's the only difference. They're just bigger boxes. So that's 2 layers, 2 pallets of frozen material. The other thing that Lydia had gone through with us was, filling each box. So you can't try to avoid any air space. So filling it up with bubble wrap. We were also using cell air as well to pack the boxes, and not just the tops, but the sides of the boxes as well is important. Once you've finished or set up your pallet, it's obvious, but you've got to have the heavier boxes at the bottom, and then there's another layer, and it's got to be a much lighter box, because if any of them if it's too heavy, especially the top box, you don't want it sinking in and then causing issues. So the other thing that we did was shrink wrap the entire thing, and that's just basically to keep the whole pallet together. We had the removalists do that. Actually, most of the pallets all had a hole in it. So when they came out, so I'm not sure how that happened, but it's mainly just to keep the pallets secure in one place, and it wasn't for air, keeping things airtight. You can't rely on that. It's best just to do the one. We also had rigid board for some of the more vulnerable volumes that we had. We were able to get to line the bottom of the pallets as well. So we were able to get some of those council stickers, or that they put up about land zoning. So we were able to score an awful lot of those, and they're really firm. So that was really handy just to pick up for those. Okay. Now, how are we going for time? Will someone let me know at the time? Okay. I'll show you. Okay. Workplace health and safety, and because we did have mold identified, we were using PPE2 layers, so everyone was in overalls and masks, and depending on what they were doing, there are some with different air masks as well. So I hope I've got a photo of that. Okay. Here's a couple of members of our staff. This was when we were packing up originally, and just checking any items, just having a quick check through any for mold or suspicious marks, so that we could mark the box. And you can see that actually one person's wearing PP1, and I think the other one's wearing PP2. So PP2 person is actually doing the mold checking there, and we're all in coveralls, also using nitrile gloves as well. Okay, sorry, this photo is on the side. We were lucky that we did have a lot of staff available to help us with that move. It wasn't just me and my one full-time equivalent, so I've got 2 part-timers with the staff helping us pack up. So that's in one of the rooms, and that was the one with the collection that did have a bit of mold. Okay. All right, that's I can't remember if that's 2 or 3. Okay. To keep track of all of this, all the collections, every box was marked and placed into an Excel spreadsheet, so we know which room they came in, and also to identify the various collections. Like I said, we had the Robinson collection, which was the books, and an archive collection, photos. So each of the boxes were individually marked and numbered, so that we could keep a track of what was in those material. And when I receive the material, I put the date when we receive it, and it also helps with me to track down what items are in those boxes. I also put in a report if, when there are holes and that sort of thing as well. And so right now we're repackaging everything and putting it all into archival boxes and materials. We also had another workshop showing staff how to treat especially the non-paper materials, but also we did do paper as well as a refresher for some of the new staff members. So now we have, out of the 33 pallets, we've got 9 pallets to go to finish cleaning, and we've also done all the non-freeze material. And in the new library, we have a purpose-built climate control room, which is just wonderful. It's managed by council to keep humidity levels. So everything that goes in there, we it's clean, it's wrapped in archival paper, and so there's hopefully there'll be no issues with that in the future. And we also got a art store in the new library, which I love to put all our photo frames in. So I'll show you that with our tour in a moment. There's only one picture there because that was when we're just moving in, so I can show that to you. Okay, so is there any questions?
Actually, I do have a quick one, Jane. Yep, it's Kyla. Oh, hello, Annette. How long was it between the rain and the flooding before you were able to get into the collection and pack it up?
Actually, it was a matter of different years. I kind of think of it as 2 separate events. They weren't related at all with the rain and the flooding. It was just one of those things that we did have problems with, but it was really the move that exacerbated the decontamination project to make everything clear. So it wasn't really a cause and effect.
Okay, excellent. And one other very quick question. You've been giving some lovely examples of good quality materials to look after things when things go wrong. Because of what was happening in Toowoomba around those years, was there a bit of difficulty getting buckets and chucks at short notice? Do you advise stocking up when you see rain clouds?
Yes, yeah. I didn't because we started in September having rain. The amount of tarps and we did have trouble getting buckets after, but we were gradually building up from September before the floods in January. But of course, there was a lot of other shortages of things like torches and things like that, which were hard to source at that time. But we didn't have a problem because we had what we needed.
Excellent. Thank you.
But it is something, it's something to keep in mind though, about shortages. Is there anyone else?
We don't have any questions from here at this stage, thanks.
Okay. Would you like me to show you around the room now? The new room? Yes? Okay, I'm going to pick up the iPad and just show you. Okay, this is...
Oh, I've just been wanting to say that's a lovely map behind you. Is that part of your local studies collection there?
Kyla?
No.
Sorry, you dropped out for a moment, so I didn't quite hear the question.
Sorry, I was just saying that's a lovely map that you have behind you. And is it part of your local studies collection?
Well, I've gone for subtlety. Well, it's quite big. I've gone for subtlety in backdrop. I think he's about 2 or 3 meters long. He's a big aerial. He's the only wall he'll fit on, with reinforced 2x4 pieces of timber behind it. Not one we're digitising anytime soon.
I'm going to see whether Jayne's still here or not. No. We might give her a moment to see if she comes back. Look amongst ourselves, though.
That'd be interesting because we just have a massive one. And a lot of the businesses were screwed around, I have to say, by their insurance companies because they said they're only yeah, guess what was part of it's ridiculous. So it'd be really interesting to find out what they were close to.
The flood happened a few years ago. Yeah, when they were moving everything to the new library, they want to make sure that everything was clean. So they were looking at the church and they found it was old. Yeah. A couple of years later, that's been pretty long.
Another question that I wanted to ask, which I didn't think of, which was asking the question before, but who sprays the material?
Good question.
That feels longer.
Oh,
yeah.
And the place that they used to suggest that 5 years ago was near where I grew up in used to be an old record. Yeah. And they have a big cold storage, and I think they do it for quite a lot of places. There are
I'm wondering if we kind of just declare that Jayne's really not coming back and doesn't have a connection, and we'll email the questions through to her. Lovely to see you again, Kyla. And I'll send the link through to this.
Likewise, lovely to see you. Excellent. Have a good meeting, guys. Bye.
Bye.